What's going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams here at the distance. Got a video for you guys now. This one is David Haye retiring at the age of 31. Today, David Haye is retiring. Today is his 31st birthday. So he did say he was not going to fight past the age of 30, and he's going to maintain that promise. When I think about about it all, was beloved the last hugely beloved fighter over here in the United States that fought from the UK that was not Joe Calzaghe was Prince Nassim. Prince Nassim fought a battle against Marco Antonio Barrera where he just looked bad, and he didn't fight for 13 months, and he came back and he fought kind of a farewell fight. And I think he was only 27 or 28 years old by the time he retired. Still young, but he collected enough money to where he could retire. But more than likely, I wouldn't be surprised if Prince Nassim was broke in 10 to 15 years, and that's just me. But anyway, that's besides the point. Prince Nassim was a huge talker. He's a huge talker. He was very confident in his boxing ability, but when he looked bad, against Barrera, many people were like, wow, this dude is a hype job. He's a real hype job. And the HBO does good at building up hype job fighters. But also, I didn't think that Prince Nas was really a hype job. I think that there were opponents that he could have defeated, but I just thought that Barrera's style just wasn't for him. I think he probably prepared for a different fight. Many thought that Barrera's career was over by that time. But, after losing to Morales in the first fight. But, Prince Nas fought one more time, I guess maybe for his fans. And he was gone. He was like 27 years old. 27, 28 years old. David Haye's 31. And David Haye is another fighter that, what he did was he talked himself into a big fight. Create a big media circus around the fight against Vladimir Klitschko. And pretty much they made the fight at the right time. The reason they made the fight at the right time is because now it generated more money than it probably ever could have. 2 years ago in June 20, it probably wouldn't have generated as much money as it did recently, and probably the ratings wouldn't have been as high as they were 2 years ago, just because David Haye had little to no exposure in the United States, after fighting Enzo Maccarinelli on Showtime in February 2008. But I think what David Haye did, he did good at using the internet and using the media to kind of sway people over to the heavyweight division and make it cool to talk about the heavyweight division once again. But the talk of being undisputed heavyweight champion and things of that nature were probably ridiculous, because he did say the entire time, I'm not going to fight past the age of 30. Just looking at his interviews, he said, I'm not going to fight past the age of 30. And I thought that if David Haye won and had all the titles, he would probably fight Villali or something like that and then retire, something along those lines. And if he did retire and he had all of those belts, if he dropped the title, then that would probably be bad for the heavyweight division that took so long to find one dominant heavyweight champion. So it is what it is. But David Haye was a very athletic fighter, power in both hands. Through a good haymaker, of course. His ring name was the Haymaker. Threw a good haymaker, and he threw it off the back foot very well. Threw it off the front foot very well. His lateral movement was all right, but I just thought that he was very athletically based, more so than boxing skill based. And athletically based is pretty good. It's good to be athletically based, but you gotta have that solid boxing background along with it. And he had a decent trainer too. I think his name Adam Booth. Had a pretty good trainer as well. Trainer out in the UK. But David Haye wasn't able to secure the heavyweight championship, and I would think he would have one more fight. I'm sure his toe is much better now. It's not broken anymore. But just overall, man, David Haye was David Haye, of course. Pretty, he was a good, he was a good fighter, but not a great fighter. Yeah, he did go in. He won like 3 of the major cruiserweight championships. Um, he did unify in the cruiserweight division. Beat the man at cruiserweight at the time, Jean-Marc Mormec, and probably couldn't even make the weight anymore. Couldn't get down to 200 pounds, so he wanted to get the heavyweight championship before he retired. And in 6 heavyweight fights, I don't think it's one of those things where his legacy as a heavyweight is even secured. He beat the worst heavyweight champion, one of the worst heavyweight champions of all time, and fought, probably one of the best and most underrated heavyweight champions in the last, 15, 20 years. And, pretty much just didn't look good against him. And yeah, if his toe was fucked up, then he couldn't fight off the back foot like he wanted to, like he usually does, and kind of draw him in. But there's no excuse there. You would think that in the biggest fight of your life, you would swing for the fences and let the hands go, but also the Klitschko jab knocked people out, so there was going to be a lot of apprehension there. But overall, David Haye started his career UK, lost his first championship fight against Carl Thompson, which was for a minor cruiserweight belt, the IBO. Went on to win the EBU Cruiserweight Championship, knocking out Gurov in 1 round. Went on in 2007, defeated Jean-Marc Mormec, and won the WBC, WBA, and Ring Magazine Cruiserweight belts. Defeated Enzo Maccarinelli months later to capture the WBO Cruiserweight belt. And about a year and a half later, defeated Nikolai Valuev, won the WBA Heavyweight Championship. But just overall, good, solid, all-around fighter. Produced some good knockouts, been in some good fights. But also, I just think that he probably did what he knew he could do in this type of heavyweight division. All the brothers have all the belts. He knows he didn't beat one, and the other is more aggressive and probably much scarier. So it is what it is. He wasn't. What's the point of continuously fighting in a heavyweight division where you probably aren't going to win a belt? Why be kind of like that Ron Lyle or Jimmy Young, those guys that were tough-nosed fighters that were used to give you a tough fight? What's the point? Also, he said he wasn't in a fight past the age of 31 where you could lose your reflexes and you can get hit with something, hit with punches that will have more effect on you at 31 than they would at 24. So, it's what it is. So anyway, peeps, I'm out of here. That was The Distance. Peace.